Sorry, guys. Okay, maybe that's a little bit better. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Hello to anybody who's joining me today at any time. I know y'all can't hear me because I got to bring the mic closer. There's a lot been going on today. Hello. Welcome to View from the Throne. I'm Lorenza Nichol Molina, aka the Black Butterfly Queen, La Reina Mariposa Negra. And yeah, we're back at the throne today. We're back. Let me turn this a little bit. We're back. Yeah. So there's been a lot going on today. So if you happen to hear anything in my background, I apologize ahead of time. There's still a lot going on. So but you know, the show must go on, literally. And I'm like literally almost an hour past the time I usually am supposed to be on here. So I guess, you know, today I don't know how everybody else has been doing. I don't know how everybody else's stuff has been going this week. I know it's Wednesday technically, and I know that we've all been dealing with transitions. It's one of the things I talked about last time is the transitions that we how we are dealing with transitions, how we are dealing with those things. And one of the things is that one of the things is that as much as you don't want to continue to go forward or go on to anything, the show must go on, right? Literally today, didn't it's always like something fighting me. And I think, you know, sometimes that is the proof of that you're doing something worthwhile, even if you don't see any full evidence. And is that the struggle that you're having is the proof. So I want to talk about the proof, you know, that's in the struggle. How the struggle can be the proof. And it's so interesting. I was talking about this with my mom the other day. And you know, I just want to take time to just thank God for today. Thank God for all the things that he has been doing in my life, the lives of those that I love, family and friends, and all the things, all the people pushing forward when it's not easy. Thank God for you being here today. Thank God for those who will listen in the time that they will listen. Thank God. I just want to thank God for that he go forth, and that if anything that I say right now, that he just have his way in what he wants to say. Well, I guess the title would be the proof, the proof that's in the pudding, or the show must go on. One of the two. We'll decide later. But what I want to talk about truly is hold on, I'm slightly distracted. I got something going on in my background. Trying to figure out how to deal with it. Okay. Focus. Focus. Guys, I'm struggling. I really am. Okay. So, one of the things that I was talking about with my mom was the fact that I was talking about the enemy. I was talking about like before he fell and who he was and things of that nature. I was talking about how he used to be called Lucifer. And I know we like to say Lucifer and think like evil thoughts, like not evil thoughts, but think of that as an evil name. But remember that when he fell, he lost his name. So Lucifer, in a sense, wasn't necessarily a bad name. God gave him that name. Hey Tara, hey girl, welcome, welcome. Got your crown on, girl. You ready? I'm still getting ready. Okay, listen. Um, so Lucifer, when he was in heaven, if you know anything about Lucifer before, or the enemy of God, now that he's called the enemy of God, if you know anything about the story, is that he was the angel over praise and worship. He was the minister of music in heaven before God would enter into the heavens where the angels were, because there's more than one place. God has his space all on his own. When God would enter into the space where the angels were, Lucifer would go before him. Now Lucifer had stones in his chest, and his body supposedly is made up of sounds and symbols, right? And so he's the usher, and any time he would start praising, the light of God hits his chest, and then it beams out into the heavens, and everybody knows God is about to show up. And that's his boy, like, oh, Lucifer here, we know God about to show up. If Lucifer here, we know God about to show up. If Lucifer's here, we know God is about to show up. If the enemy is here, we know God is about to show up. I just want, if the enemy is here, we know God is about to show up. If the enemy is present, we know God is about to show up. If he's showing his face and rearing his ugly head, we know God is about to show up. And the reason why I can say it like this is because God says the gift come without repentance. Meaning, this is why he says the enemy is the prince of the air. Meaning he doesn't have full authority, but he didn't take his gift away. His body is supposedly made up of sounds and symbols. So it would make sense that that the gift concerning him also comes without repentance. He was made to always go before God. He was made to serve the purpose of God coming into the space. Now, the gift comes without repentance. So his sounds, his body's still made of sounds and symbols, and that and we know that God says he's the prince of the air, and that he's the author of all lies, and that you know author of all lies. Now, I was always thinking like, okay, if he's the author of lies, how can he be the author of lies, right? If if God creates everything. Well, you got to understand, even we make things from what God has created. So he took what God as truth and made a lie. And I want to point out all these things that he is. So if he is the prince of the air, right, and he is the author of all lies, that means he has influence over things. And if he's over sounds and symbols, and this is why we talk about media and social media and all the things that we're on, we have to be careful because that's his domain. That's his kind of his area. That's where he has influence and things like that. And it doesn't mean that God is not present in those things. It just means that we have to, little eyes, watch what you see, little ears, watch what you hear, we still have to be vigilant because that is his area of influence. And that means that gossip, they say gossip kills. The enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Lies, people lying, people love gossip and lying and all these things. And they're so infatuated with it. It's intoxicating. And I mean, even he made Eve doubt what she heard from her own God. What he started in heaven and then fell like lightning. I read that today. I'm trying to remember what scripture, Corinthians, I think, but I'll probably put it in the description, not description, but the comment section later, that scripture. But author of all lies, and God said, he saw him fall, he fell, and we also talk about how there's nothing new under the sun, right? So that means everything here, all the confusion and all this stuff is being repeated. So if it's being repeated, then where did that come from? It came from when there was war in heaven and a third of the angels fell with Lucifer, which ended up becoming the enemy of God. God does not call him that anymore because that had to do with a position. Had to do with a position and when you are called by a certain name. We even know when our parents call us by a certain name, that means they are asking something of us or they're demanding something from us. Since he fell from that position, God will never call him by that name again to demand or call for him to be in a certain position ever again. So he lost his name, but he didn't lose his gift. Okay. So I say all that to say, we forget that his sole purpose was to operate, to usher in God's presence. That's what he was supposed to do. That's what his purpose was. He looked at himself and all that light, God's light shining off and said, I'm fine. I look good. You know what I'm saying? I think I can run this show. He would mean nothing without God's light shining off of him. And he was the one that had to come before God. So he made him think he was ahead of God, that he was higher than him, touching his presence. But I want us to remember the scriptures that says the last shall be first and the first shall be last, right? I'm talking about all of this because haven't you ever met somebody? And I used to be homeless, so I'm not trying to talk down on anybody that is struggling right now or homeless or anything, because you do and you can you can come out of that. But have you ever met somebody that was homeless or not in the best position in life, that was so talented? Their gift was like, I don't understand how you are not somewhere greater, in a better position. We talk about those people that can just sing, people who can just, they could do anything. It's like they could do anything, but yet their life the cards that they were dealt or whatever happened, they have landed in a space that doesn't reflect the power, reflect how gifted they are, but it didn't change how gifted they are. That's still, no matter if they're in that space or in a higher space, that voice is still with them. That ability to write like they do or draw like they do is still with them. That intellectual gift is still there. And they may use it in the spaces at the bottom or use it at the spaces at the top, but that's their gift. They may use it to sing and hustle a couple of dollars so they can eat that night, or they may use it to teach other people how to sing, or they may use it on a platform and perform great, venues or something like that. But it's their gift at every level. It's their gift at every level, at every level. And so my point is with this is that if the gift comes without repentance, your position is what how it is it reflects I guess God, what God is trusting you with. Not saying, oh, I got to be the more money I got, the more God is trusting me. No, God has to sometimes trusting people with little money is more of a challenge for some people than being trusted with a lot of money. Like, are you going to still serve me anyway, even though you don't have a lot? Like, positioning is important. And based out of that position, he may be calling you by a certain name because he needs something to come out of you concerning your gift in that space. He's calling you to that space. So he's calling you by a certain name. Esther wasn't called Esther. She was called Hadassah when she was living with her uncle or her cousin, Mordecai, who took her in after her parents were killed. But when she had to elevate to a new space, she had to go by a new name because she was going to another place. Did it change the fact that she was still the daughter of God? No, it did not. Position doesn't change your gift. What you are being called by concerning the Lord may have to do with what is going to be required of you in a certain position. Is what's going to be required of you in a certain space and place. When it comes to your gift, I need you to take this and take it over there. I need you to go over here. I need you to use this gift, the same gift that you've been having. I need you to use it different. There's another part of your gift I want you to use like this in this place, because once you were called Hadassah, next you're called Esther. Same person, different position. New name. She didn't lose her old name. She just gained a new one. The difference between Esther and the enemy is that he lost his name. That therefore he lost his right to be called on by God in a certain way. He lost his position. And now he doesn't even have name. He's just the enemy. That's it. So my point is that when we are going through something, and if his gift was to always go before God, right? And introduce God. And that's what he was designed to do, is serve God. He cannot outmaneuver God. This is what God said. What the enemy means for bad, I mean for good. Whatever, it can be the same problem. Two different purposes. The same issue, two different purposes. What the enemy means for bad, God means for good. He cannot outmaneuver God because he's still attached to serving God. That's what his purpose was, is to serve God and to serve it with his gift. That's what his purpose was, to serve God with his gift. Regardless of his position, regardless of the name that he has, regardless of the mischief that he creates and issues that he creates, it's still going to serve God's purpose. He is not greater than the one who created the game. He's not greater than the one that created the game in the first place. Okay. It's like we're playing chess. and it's like thinking you could still run the game when you didn't even create the rules. How can you win? How can you beat somebody at a game that they made? You cannot. Not God anyway. Because he understands how he can use all the rules in the game to work for his purpose, because it's made to work for his purpose, his will. You cannot outmaneuver God. And it's foolish to think so, but he still fell. But it didn't change that no matter what he does, whatever what the enemy means for bad, God will use for good. It does not change that, because this is what I'm getting down to, is that when God has called you to do something and you're called to do, You can be called to do anything, being a doctor, being a CNA, being a nurse, being anything. You can be called to an industry, or called to a certain space or place at a certain time. But when you have been called to something, I want you to pay attention to the struggle. I want you to pay attention to the struggle. Wherever God is coming, the enemy is always going to show up first. We always say that, and we don't understand why, because he cannot outdo who he is. He is what he is. He was made to go before God in glory, to sounds and cymbals and the stones on his chest, the minister of music. Everybody ushering in God's presence. And so it doesn't change just because his position changed and how he uses his gift changed. It didn't change that he was always called to go before God showed up. So he knows when God's about to show up. He knows when God's about to show up. So he think, okay, I'm gonna get the uppity up on God. I'm gonna go before him. But that's what you were supposed to do anyway. So now I know when things are difficult and I keep having hard things happening to me, and things keep coming against me, and I'm pushing for something. That lets me know God must be about to show up. God must really be about this thing that I'm doing, because the enemy is trying to show up. But instead of beaming out the truth, instead of beaming out God's light, instead of beaming out that, he's beaming out lies. Because a lie, and I said this before, a lie can't be what it is without the truth. See, the truth can stand on its own. A lie needs the truth, a little flavor, to sell itself. It needs a little bit of the truth to validate the lie. And the only reason he can he is the author of lies is because that's also something that can come before the truth. He always tries to make you feel less than before you know who you are. Lies are the evidence of that God must have a truth for you greater than the lie. Whatever lie you have been told, whatever you have been made to believe, think about the things and the way you operate. What do you believe for real? Do you believe that you're beautiful? Do you believe that you're strong? Do you believe that you're capable? If you are not believing those things, then those are the lies. And that means the truth is that you are beautiful, that you are capable, that you can, that you will do, that you can be successful. That's what the truth is. Anytime you need to understand where God really is, look at the lie. Anytime you need to understand, do I really need to do this or not? Look at the struggle. And I'm not talking about when God is saying shutting it down, because when God shuts something down, you just punching a brick wall pretty much. But anytime, this is how you know you really feel I got to do this thing, but you keep hearing you can't do it. You know that you look silly. You look stupid. You look this. It's too late. You too old. That's for the young. And be still young and think that you still too old to do something. That's what's wild. Oh, that I'm not that old, but I'm too old for this. Are you? If that's what he called you to do, are you too old for this? And so all I wanted to really bring attention to was the fact that if you are fighting something right now and you are pushing much as I pushed today, and I just had a hard time just y'all, okay, wrapping certain things around my mind today to get done. It is an indicator, because the enemy is always going to come before God. And in that way, even in the lie, he's still announcing God's arrival. I used to have a friend when I ran track. She would do this before she run. She would do this before she run. Like, God got me, God got me. And she told me, she was like, the more they hate, I must be doing something right. All it tells me is that I'm doing right. I take the hate as a compliment, because it's not the hate in itself, but it's what it means. Oh, I'm on the right track. We have to really work at getting our feelings out of things, because once you get your feelings out of it and you look at it for the truth, you're like, oh, I'm doing good. Oh, they talking about me? Oh, I must be fine. I must be really killing the game. Not to necessarily get cocky, but to tell the truth. Like I'm doing something, because ain't nobody gonna fight somebody that ain't worth nothing and ain't no threat. If you don't feel like nobody, if there ain't no threat to nothing, they ain't gonna be fought. If you wasn't a threat, you wouldn't have been going through what you're going through. I mean, when I talk about stuff people are going through, I'm talking about layers. I mean, you're going through stuff so much to where it's like when one thing happened, you can't even process it before the next thing happened. Baby, the tighter it gets, the heavier it gets. Your life being threatened, all this stuff, that means that the purpose is so great and the enemy's coming heavy at you right now, because when God shows up, it's going to be over. And believe me, he's already present with you, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. His angels are already with you, helping fight the battles. All the enemy does is give you an indication that God is on his way. Every time he fights you, he's giving you an indication that God is on his way. If the way he moves tells the truth, even though he a lie. Even though he's a lie himself, the way he moves tells on him every time. Tells on him every time. You fighting, all of a sudden all this stuff starts happening. They say, that's what they say, bigger level, bigger devils, because the more territory you gain, the more of a problem you are in the kingdom. He don't want you to gain no territory. He don't want nobody to see you. He don't want you to be seen. But the person he needs to not see it the most, because he doesn't have the power over your life like with the authority that you have in your life for yourself. He needs you to be blind to who you are. So when God comes, you think it's not for you. When God show up in a certain way in your life, you think that's not for you. You forfeit your blessing or your gift because you think it's not for you. Or, Jesus, when you are in the promised land, when you're in the promised land, now I'm shifting gears a little bit, when you are in it and the lie comes heavier, stick to what God told you. You do not show your enemy your wounds. You don't be like, here you go. Yes, you won. You hurt me. Do you know what I mean? Have you ever had your mama be like, have you ever had somebody tell you, now this is probably not healthy right now, but have you ever had somebody tell you, don't let them see you cry. Don't let them see you cry. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to feel broken in the process. It doesn't mean that it means that you have to show up the same way you did, how you were showing up in every area that you were called to show up in, the same way you were showing up before it happened. Because when it comes like that and you have already stepped your toe into the water, your foot has already been wading in the Jordan, and it seemed like something just knocked you off and you fell further into the water, you're still in the water. You're still crossing over into the promised land. This is not time to turn back and contemplate, do I really want to do this? No. It's already time to go. This is not the time to sit still and contemplate it. You've been called forward. This is not time to contemplate. Do I really want to go now? You're already crossing, baby. I don't know who I'm calling baby, but you's crossing, okay? You are already crossing over into the space that God has called you to be. You can't go back. There's nothing there for you. There is no manna waiting. There is nothing there. But the enemy is going to fight you on every corner, and you cannot revert. Now, this is where we get in trouble. Is when we revert back to a way of handling something that we're not, after God has gotten us so far, and we revert back into a way of handling something in a way that God has called us not to do anymore. You cannot do that anymore. He said you can't do it no more, but you went backwards. You decided to. And this thing, you're not even going backwards, but okay. So what if you just sat in the middle of the Jordan waiting for manna to fall from heaven? What is that going to do? You can't sit in the water or in the heat forever waiting for food to drop. The way we handle ourselves, we cannot handle ourselves, issues, our heart, or our mind in the same manner that we used to. We will be in trouble with God, because after everything he's done, and then finally getting us to a promised land, and then we decide to sit. What if we just sat at Jericho and waited for manna to drop when we're supposed to be walking around the wall? You want the walls to fall? Walk, baby. It's time to walk. It's time to walk. It's time to praise and worship. You cannot sit. And you know what sitting does? It leaves you in a place where they can find you and aim and fire. And as wrong as it would be for somebody to have attacked the children of Israel, as wrong as it would have been, they would have still been in trouble because of their disobedience. You do not get off you don't get off the hook for being disobedient just because somebody hurt you in your promised land. You don't get to get off of your own obedience. You don't get to dismiss what God has required of you just because they hurt your feelings, just because they were rude to you. You don't get to do that just because somebody's gone, just because somebody left you, just because somebody betrayed you, just because the job messed up, just because you just discovered all these lies, just because you don't get to do that. I just need to say that because we're in a space that we have to be obedient to whatever God is calling us. And it's not going to be easy. But this is why he says it's not by your own might, but by the might of the Holy Spirit. You have to just keep letting him come in and taking it day by day. This is why he also said, don't let the dead bury the dead. Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow has enough problems in its own, has enough things to worry about for itself. That's why he said all of that, because he does not need you to carry it. He needs you to let him carry you. But you got to keep letting him carry you. And the things that is required for you to lend yourself to him to do is you can't handle things in the way that you did, because also that is giving the enemy, hey, a heads up. You can still use this thing against me. I'll still operate this way if you push these buttons. I'll still respond this way if you push me that way. I'll still cry and complain about the same things that I know God has already delivered me from. Why are we responding to things? Why are we responding to things that God did not ask us to respond to anymore? He said, respond to me. He didn't say that it wasn't going to hurt. He didn't say don't cry about it. He didn't even say don't talk to me about it. He just said, I need you to still show up in every area in the way I called you to show up in. Because you're just forfeiting over your position. Because I called you by a certain name now. And now you're forfeiting your position over to the enemy. You're sitting still, and you shouldn't be. I told you these things was going to happen. I told you he was going to attack you. I told you greater levels, greater depths. I told you all these things. Why are you responding like I didn't tell you about it? Why are you responding like I didn't warn you about it? I warned you about it, not because it was something that I needed to necessarily change. I warned you about it so that you would not respond the way you always respond when these things happen. When people have come up against you, when people have tried to fight you. And let me tell you, we are all fighting a purpose, trying to operate in our purpose, not just trying to get there, but operate in it. We're at the beginning stages of a lot of things. A lot of us who are feeling that pull right now. And it doesn't mean you're not feeling a pull. It doesn't mean that the pull's not going to come for you, but we're all in seasons. And those who are in the season of being pulled forward, this is not the time to respond the way you used to, because then you will be in trouble. You will be in trouble. That goes for all of it. I know this is something I've been talking with God about a lot. And I have to show up. There's so many reasons that we don't want to, or we feel like we're justified in not doing it anymore because it hurt this way and I'm justified in that. No, you're not. I hate to say it. No, you're not. Saying I'm justified to act this way because something hurt me. And it doesn't mean you're hurting somebody else, but hurting yourself and vexing the spirit of God in you, you're hurting God. You're hurting God. You're hurting the God in you. And you're going to be held accountable for what you know better in. Because it doesn't matter. Your heart matters and but you're not, you gotta be out of that old position so that he can take care of those things for you, so he can defend you. But if you stay in a place because of what people say, and believe me, I know, because people have said so many things about me, and I hid myself away. I can't do that now. I can't, just because things aren't perfect, or even when I get on here later than what I planned on. I can't hide myself now because that's not what is required of me right now. As much as sometimes I would rather do things the way I used to do things and everything. And who knows, I may, some of those tools that I use and the way I did things may come back up where I can. But when I do, it will have to come from a different place and a different mental space and heart. I cannot even use good old tools because they still were used in the wrong way. And we will deceive ourselves and say, but I have the right to feel this way. I have the right to do this. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because, now I'm going to the word. No, you don't. Lord, help us. We don't. You don't. We don't. I don't. We want to. And you be like, but God, like, this hurts. The way I'm being attacked, or the way I'm struggling to get this thing done, hurts so much. It hurts. It hurts so much. I don't have words for it. That's fine. You don't have to have words. Just keep moving. Just keep showing up. You don't have to have words. God already sees you. Let him carry you. Let him take care of you. Let him defend you. Let him give you the strength. My strength, his strength is made perfect in your weakness. This okay to feel weak right now. He didn't say, Lord, I feel weak. He didn't say act like you don't feel nothing. He just said, keep showing up to every space I've called you to show up in the way I've called you to do it, as if you are, not that it didn't happen, but because you responded to my command, not what happened. Because there's always going to be something that happens. And if all you're going to do is respond the way you used to, and this, and it child, in this, sometimes we have to think about in what areas we could be doing that in. Like, sometimes we're doing good over here, but then there may be an area that we're still responding in an old way, and we're not realizing it because we feel justified in how we feel. And you may be right. You may be right to feel how you feel. You may be hurt, but God said anger and said not. If it causes you to double back on something I told you to do, you taking care of it yourself. Now you're outside of me. And this is the thing. The grace that is in this season is not the grace that was in last season. Think about that. The grace that was in this season, is not the same grace that was in that season. It's not the same. The grace that's for this season is for this season. Pretty much, as long as you standing on me, I got you. As soon as you step off of it, you fall. As long as you come back to me, I got you. As soon as you, and this is the thing. The patience of God is not the same. And when it comes to certain requirements in this space, when you know better, like you can't keep asking God to be patient with you about something because of how you feel about it. When now you know how to handle it because he told you what to do. He told you how to do it. He's not unaware of it. He said he's the one who wants to take care of it. And so what's the reason what's the reason you got quiet? What's the reason why you stopped doing what you do? Somebody stopped. I almost did. What's the or what's the reason why you got louder? What's the reason you got more aggressive? What's the reason? Because some of us are not quiet people. Some of us don't revert to ourselves. Some people don't necessarily actually distance. Some people start going and doing certain things that they shouldn't do, and which creates a distance between themselves and their purpose. They'll start doing old things. They'll start going to old places. And this is the thing, it don't even feel good. That reason why you don't feel good isn't just the enemy attacking you. It has to do with you being out of alignment because of your obedience. It don't even feel good. You be like, I just don't feel good still. Because the one thing that you don't want to do is the thing that you need to do. And that's why you're not feeling good. It's not even the enemy anymore. It's you. You are your own worst enemy sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Well, God has showed us that the enemy shows up every time before he does. And if you're going to fall for it again, who's going to be held accountable now? If the same lie that was in the promised land not the promised land, the same lie that was in Egypt, that was in the desert, is also working in the promised land, this is a choice now. And let me tell you why it is. Because God knew that you were capable, and he let you in. No one can go into where they're supposed to go if they're not capable of being obedient in it. God knows what you're capable of. And if you're deciding to do something or be a certain way or not do something or stop something or stop talking or talking too much or moving one way, it has to do with an old way of dealing with something, then it's the best thing to do is, God, I'm sorry, and just get back on track. Because it's more about going right back to and getting back into line, because the window and the door for the time to do that is way shorter than it was before, because now you're in the promised land. This is not a place to play around. This is not a place to wander around. This is not a place to sit there. This is not a place to do that. You just because you made it to the promised land, and just because people are mean in the promised land, doesn't give you right to not show up. And this was crazy. Applies to all of us, yo. It's all of us. It's not just you. It's not just me. It's all of us being called. It doesn't matter when you get called. It doesn't matter when it's time for you to usher into the promise. It doesn't matter. It is. We know it's the enemy, piling up more heaps of lies and attacks and everything. And he's going to do, our heart has to be changed. Because if we're still affected by the same attack, because we're not so far from where we used to be, so we still kind of identify with old things, that when we feel that, we should be like, okay, that lets me know that, digest it, that lets me know that I'm probably dealing with some old things still and some hurts, because I felt that. I felt that when that happened. I felt that when I saw that. I felt that when I heard that. I felt that when I experienced it. You know what I'm saying? I felt it. It felt it right there. What is it? Even though this happened, God, how do I continue to give myself to you? Because this time it's heavier than it was before, but it's from the same thing. It's from the same place. And, and the enemy trying to mess with your trust, God didn't lie. And you may still believe that, but you got to continue to believe in you. You got to continue to believe. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can. You can. You may do it crying, and that's fine, but still show up in that space the way you were before. You may do it afraid. Keep going. I just want to encourage you, keep going. Please don't let what the enemy brings towards you to hurt you stop you. Because we know that is a sign that that when he is showing up that way, that means God is showing up, is about to show up too, or is showing up in a way. He can't do anything. His whole identity is about giving God honor and glory. So the worse that he does, the greater God is going to do in your life. I just want to, and this is the thing. I don't want to be judgmental because this is not easy. This is not an easy thing. Hold on. This is not easy. It's not an easy space. It's not an easy place. Hold on, guys. I just saw something on my thing. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. It won't work, no. Okay. All right. Got that fixed. Okay, I think so. Yeah. Okay. Got it. Whew. And anybody that's been with me doing these lives, child, this is not the way I be starting these lives. Don't even be feeling like professional half the time, but or the way I want it to be. But we just in this thing together, okay? However, it is not going to be easy, and I believe that you can because God already put you there. He did because he trusts you. Trust yourself. Don't let the enemy come in like with arrows and pierce your heart and let that move you when it comes to still showing up the way God told you to and with what God told you to. Okay. We all have assignments, and whatever that assignment is, make sure you are still staying connected to it in the way that he called you to, even though you may not feel the same right now. And the reason why is because God knew this was going to happen on that assignment. And there's a purpose in that hurt being a part of the process in that assignment. There is greater a part of that assignment attached to, because like I said, what the enemy meant for bad, God will use for good. But you gotta let God use your hurt for good. Don't be embarrassed. Don't let him try to shame you. You have no reason to be shamed, especially when you're not the one that's coming against yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes the enemy will try to give us shame that's not ours. And you got to remember that too. You'll sit here and be feeling all kinds of shame and all kinds of stuff. And it's not even you. It's somebody around you, maybe. Sometimes it's people around you and you're identifying with what they're going on because you're still, your spirit is still vulnerable and you're still learning it. And so you got to also check your atmosphere because sometimes you're feeling things that are not even your own. And you got to ask God, where's this coming from? Because we don't always know how strong our own spirits are, or sometimes in a certain spiritual space in our life, we are more prone to pick up things from people. If you're fasting, you can't be around everybody during your fasting time because you are more spiritually sensitive. And so some of these transitions are making people more spiritually sensitive. And if you don't understand that, you'll be having emotional responses and feeling like you're going crazy to a spiritually sensitive space, and you don't realize that's what it is. So sometimes it's the people that are around you and are the people you've been around. So you have to make sure that you're covering yourself, and so you got to make sure you're around other people who are spiritually sensitive two that have discernment and have good intentions, and are trying to serve the Lord, and you see that, because that creates a safety that helps create a barrier, because there's things that those people may see that you may not see. And you gotta, and if God has blessed you with people who are spiritually sensitive, thank God. I have that in my life right now. Thank God for all my sisters, all of them. The ones that got, I mean, people I've been knowing for a while, some people I've recently met. I mean, thank you, God, because, and everybody offers me something. Like, I'm so grateful, to the point where it's like, they've loved me so well. I want to love them back so well. I want to make sure that I am always in my spiritually checking myself, so that I can show up. And it doesn't mean that I'm not going to hurt, but you know what? Sometimes I don't have words for the things I go through, but sometimes they know. God will tell on me. God will tell on me, because I'm one of the things I've had to work on during this time, because I've been a very, very, very private person. One of the reasons is, I told y'all earlier, I went through some traumas, and it made me wanted to be hide and all that stuff. But also, I like, I'm a hermit, you know what I'm saying? I like being at home. Um, I like being to myself, but I also do like going out with the right people. I'm not one of the people that just hang out with everybody, because people make me tired. I love you, but I be tired. I'll be like, what are we doing next? Like, what are we doing? And this is how I've always been. Like, I want to have fun, but it gotta be with the right people. But anyway, what I have had to really honor God in is still being open when I don't feel like it, with the ones that God has called me to be open with. And it doesn't, it does, and just to be clear, it's not about them doing something or not doing something. Sometimes it's just stuff in my life. I just feel like, oh, it's so heavy, and the enemy will tell me it's too heavy for them. Don't do that. You just need to be a better friend. You can't be putting stuff on people. And this is the thing. I you have to have wisdom on who you talk to about things. Um, but I realize that those who God is trusting me with, I have to remember that he did trust them with me to some degree, and he's going to give me wisdom on the things I can say. You can't say everything, because you got to have boundaries, but just make sure you're not having walls, because walls will get you in trouble. Walls create a distance between you and your allies. Walls will keep you in and keep everything good out, and then you in there by yourself. I remember I was out of town. I was working on a project, and I was in Europe, and one of my friends I was going through something, and I wasn't saying it, because I was away from home. I was away from everything familiar, and I was having a hard time with it. But I didn't want to be heavy, because this is supposed to be a blessing. I'm not supposed to be complaining. I'm just in a place that I can't even explain how, and then when people are not in certain places with you, you like, maybe they're not going to understand it, because you've been gaslit before by other people, you know what I'm saying? So you don't want to put yourself in that position, and not that they're going to be the ones to do it, but you don't want to put yourself in a position to say, I'm going through anything, because maybe they're not going to understand it, because it's different because it's so foreign to anything you've seen anybody else do, you're doing in life. And she sent me a message. She said, girl, don't be over there just struggling and not speaking up. I had more than one person send me send me something about speaking up, because she could feel me, because God put her in my life. Um and I got called out. I was like, yeah, okay. And then I had to be honest. I'm struggling. And then she just kind of reassured me, hey, this is new. Of course, there's difficulty, but remember, God gave you the land. Remember what he told you before you got there. Remember all the things he told me. I'm literally saying now. Remember that he told you who you were before you showed up to the space that you're in. Remember who you are. Remember that those things and those struggles aren't the definition. Remember that you have allies, that you are not alone. Elijah went all the way to a cave, hide and hid. And God said, no, what are you doing here? You got to go back. You can't hide. You are not alone. Just because people are not in the same position as you does not mean you are not alone, that you are alone. Because God knows it's important that sometimes they're not in the same position as you because they can see what you can't see. They can hear what you can't hear. They can see in the blind spaces. You don't need everybody in the driver's seat in the car. You need, those seats hold different positions and they have different vantage points. And sometimes you're going to be in the driver's seat. Say you're on a road trip with your friends and y'all taking turns driving. Everybody can see the vantage points and everybody, if you trust these people, are going to be more concerned. They're going to be concerned about having fun, but we all looking out, for safety. We're all, it's not just the driver who's concerned about the people in the car. It's the people concerned about the driver and everybody else in the car. And you're going to, from your position, going to be an aid to that driver. Or if you're the one driving, you're going to be an aid to the people that are also in the car. You're going to use your mirrors so that you can be safe. You got to trust the people that God put in the car with you. You know what I'm saying? And just because she wasn't in the same position as me, and there were others, mind you, that I spoke to during this time that just because they weren't in the same position as me, they were still able to encourage me. And I thought I would be putting too much on them. And I was quiet. And in this time, I know that I can't do that. I'm not allowed to. It's a choice. But if I do that, then I'm going to be moving with a hollow space in me. And nothing can stand on hollow ground. It crashes and cracks and eventually. And I don't want to. I just came too far. Guys, if y'all knew, I have come too far. I've been embarrassed in public, out loud, just humiliated with lies and all kinds of things. Excuse me, my dogs. And I was afraid to do a visual podcast, anxiety wise, for a lot of reasons. But every time I just be like, maybe, that's good. I'll just take a pause. It's coming from the wrong place. It's not coming from a healed space. It's coming from those places. And so me following through, right before y'all, it may seem like this is easy for me, but this is not an easy thing for me as a person. It may seem like I have this wonderful gift of gab. I'm telling you for sure, God is here with me. Okay. I can be talkative, but usually it's with people that I trust and that I'm around. But God, because I am a messenger, God gives me things to say, but it doesn't mean that I like to always have to say it. I rather not have any messages. Okay. I'd rather be like, even when I was a kid, I'd rather just be playing to myself or with my brothers. But I was fine that way. But God had something better for me. And I'm still on this journey figuring out what all this means. And I'm just trying to be obedient and to what I've been called to do right now. And I'm trying to, show up in those spaces that God is asking me to. It is not an easy thing, but it's possible. And I just want y'all to understand. I know, and this is what people don't get. They think that certain things are easy for certain people. You don't know how difficult things are for someone else. And so those things that are difficult for you to do that people think are easy for you, but somehow you keep doing, just know that it is God carrying you and him helping you, and to keep allowing him to do that through you. Because maybe you were chosen for that because you would be more careful about the way you do things. Maybe because you would be more concerned about certain things in a different way, in a different perspective. Let him continue to walk with you and in you and before you with the things that you are uncomfortable with. It is, and God, there are some things that we're uncomfortable with that still have to do with timing. So God will grow you into things too. But whatever he has you doing in this moment, stay faithful to it in the way he gave you to do, even if you show up crying. So pretty much what I mean by that is, if I was crying today and I was looking crazy and stuff, I would say I would try to clean my face off and stuff, but I still have to come. If I start crying on here, I would still have to be here. Because that's what that there's beauty, there's a freedom and a liberty when you let your heart out. Not just for yourself, but for so many people who need to know it's just okay, because some of their parents didn't let them know it was okay. Our parents give us subliminal okays by the way they do stuff. It's subliminally they give us the yes that we can do something or not without ever telling us. And if you never saw your parents operate in a certain way, you may not inside without thinking feel like it's okay for you. And people that we respect, when they show their vulnerable side and things like that, or people that you may not even know and they show their vulnerable side about something, it sometimes it makes it okay for you. It gives you the permission to be like, you know what, it's okay. It's okay. I want to do this. It's okay that I want to be an artist. I want to paint and draw. It's okay. Representation matters, but it's not just with complexion or culture. It's also with spirit. It's also with the heart. People with certain heart being put in certain positions are because there's other people with similar heartbeats that need to know it's okay for them to do that, because their situation in life is telling them that it's not. But when your situation told you not that it wasn't, it's not even about the situation. It's the fact that you had one that said that it's not about, you can't do this, and then you showed up anyway with it in your purpose, and it wasn't easy for you. That lets them know that I can. Because there's going to be words that you say to somebody that are going to resonate with somebody else in a whole nother way, in a way that they can see you. Because when they look at you, they see themselves. The world may hear one thing and it be beneficial, but those who are really called to hear God through your voice are going to hear what is right for them. So keep showing up. Keep showing up. Please don't let lies put you in a position of disobedience, okay? Don't let pain put you in a place of disobedience, because God told you that these things were going to happen. And it's not that God is heartless. It's that he wants you have to give it to him this time. This is the space that you're in is too vital for you to be carrying this. It's not that he says it's not that it doesn't matter. It's that what you're doing is too big for you to do it alone. And he wants you to trust him even in the pain, in the attacks, and the things coming against you. Continue to give it to him. Okay? Continue to give it to him, because that's how much it matters. Before, you've had to carry it this way. You have had to cope this way. God said, no more coping for you. No more carrying it for you. Give it to me. Cry it out. If you say you're trying to lose weight and you running and crying because you're fighting thoughts in your head that you're too fat, that you're never going to get there, you're not going to do, how you feel secondhand embarrassment because ain't nobody watching you. Say I have a treadmill and I'll be on there and everything. And I remember even when I first started back dancing and stuff like that, I would feel this embarrassment and I'm by myself. And it's not that I couldn't dance. After I looked back at the video, I was like, I still got it. I I saw a little rusty spots, but I was like, no, it's there. And but I was feeling all this overwhelmed feeling, embarrassment, and all these thoughts coming in my head. And I started crying. I just started crying. And I don't like crying. But child, this last couple of years, child, tears just come like from the smallest things. And it's not always sad. It's just happiest things be making me cry. Like, that is so sweet. you know? So just know that you may do it with tears in your eyes, but you should be so proud of yourself for going forward anyway. You should be so proud of yourself for going forward anyway. You should be so proud of yourself, even though you wanted to, leave, ball up in the corner, cut off everybody, close off, not say nothing, just keep it, all that stuff, all that you wanted to run, or you wanted to react and choke somebody out, whatever. You know what I'm saying? You wanted to, and you didn't. You wanted, because you feel like you got to defend yourself and no one defends you. And now you got to learn how to stay quiet and let God defend you. Sometimes it's a combination. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't did it. You didn't go off. Even though you feel it. And now you feel it a little bit more because now you more tired. Okay. Now you more tired because you're in a whole nother head space, heart space. And the way you were before would be grace compared to how you can unleash that mess now. Okay. Who you used to be, might have thrown them bowls. That's old school word. Might have thrown them hands, baby. But who you are now, if you throw them hands, my God, my God, my God, it would just not be good. It would it would go way faster and way further. And it won't, and you'll feel unapologetic. You'll be like, and you should have left me alone. And you didn't go there. Know that he is fighting your battle. Be honest about where you are. Stay open. Whew. I'm listening to this myself, God. I hear it, okay? It's like, God, I hear you. I hear you. Stay open. There's so many of us that's struggling with staying open because this is such a different space. It's so different. It feels heavier. And that's why you gotta keep saying open to God. But God, got something. Being open to God is not just your secret place. Being open to God is being open to the people he asked you to be open with. Even if you don't think they're going to get it. I.e. me when I was in Europe. Even when you think it's too much. Even when you think, will I be out of line? Am I wrong? Am I just complaining? Even if I feel confused, even sometimes yeah. It's easy to say, but we all know that is very extremely hard to do, and that's why it's gonna take God to do it. Quite frankly, because we on our own, no. Because if it's not this, it's gonna be something else that you're gonna have to be open about. Like, once you start getting the hang of this, then it's gonna be something else he's gonna need you to be open about, and not necessarily telling. And this was crazy. This is why I say you gotta have wisdom, and you gotta know who he is calling you to speak to or not speak to. You gonna know. And it can't be, I wish it's this person, because there are times where there's people I really, really trusted, and God said, no, 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 no. You can't say that because of how it's going to affect them, or because how it's going to affect what I'm doing. It'll be too soon. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. So I just think this is something for a lot of people right now, and I'm most definitely in one of those people. So I don't want nobody to, it's I don't want nobody to think it's just I'm just sitting here talking and everything, because it's not easy, and I know it's going to be called again on me to show up and speak up and all that stuff, and I probably not going to want to, and we all run into a wall, and just keep fighting that wall, because sometimes um you run into a wall, hard. You like, dang, that's Jericho. And you like, that wall just don't want to come down. It can be a wall in your mind. It could be a wall in your heart. It could be a wall in your life. It could be a wall in a situation. It could be a wall in a recurring event. It can be a wall in a family ties. It could be a wall at work. It can be a wall just trying to break it down. And we read about Jericho. They marched around the wall for 7 days. On the seventh day, on the seventh march, they praised and worshiped, and the walls fell. Unconventional things that you don't think are going to make that stuff break and fall, is what's going to make it break and fall. And you have the right to have liberty and freedom. And you do not need to be dealing with nobody's walls, especially in the place of your promised land. And don't let the enemy try to hide you behind one after you done fought this far and this long. See, people underestimate you walking around that wall sometimes. They underestimate that you got what you got. They'll even try to undermine who you are. But you keep walking. You keep walking, and on that seventh day, on that seventh time around, you blow those trumpets and you praise God, and those walls are going to fall. Whatever he told you to do, keep going. That's my encouragement right now. I think it's something I keep saying. I don't know how many podcasts I said it in so far, but it sounds familiar to I think at least the last one. You make those walls fall. Be free in the name of Jesus. Be free. Be free. Let us all be free, God, from the walls that we have been forced to live in. Peace. Be still. From the storms we have been forced to swim in. Calm the waters, Lord. I thank you. And if the waters don't calm and the wall don't calm right away and the walls don't fall right away, God, help us to stay faithful until they do, so that we can stay in obedience, so that you can cover us, and so that you can defend us, and so that you can show up only in the way only you can, so we can see what you mean by the things we've already read, by what we heard our grandparents saying, our mothers saying, our fathers saying, anybody new to God, anything that you've ever heard. Let's find out what he mean when he say, I will defend you. I got you. I carry you. Your strength is made perfect. My strength is made perfect in your weakness. What that means. What that actually means. The experience of that, not just reading that in a 2-dimensional way, but seeing it 4-dimensionally, 5-dimensionally, under 3-dimensionally, like learning what he means, having that experience with him that only he can give you. But you gotta stay faithful to what he gave you in order to see it. Don't be cheated out of it. It should have been done by now. It's been taking too long. I got this to do. You don't know all the things that you are assigned to in this life. You got to trust God's timing. He know what he doing. Let me tell you, you will be in places that you don't know how you got there so fast. It will be like you didn't spend 10 years over here. It will be like you spent that 10 years building yourself up, and now you got this thing here, and you like, I know I wasn't doing nothing for 2 years in this area, but all of a sudden this is showing up as if I spent 10 years in this area. I'm getting titles and recognition for things, and I don't even know how am I here, God? Because you were faithful with the thing that didn't make sense. You got this because God got you. You can do this. All that you need to keep doing is handing it to him. If you physically got to do this and say, here you go, Lord. Sometimes we got to physically move on, just to get our mind in the posture, our heart in the posture of that. I'm letting it be in your hands. Every day it happens. Every day I feel it. Every day. And I know we tired of having to cover and pray and all this stuff. This is why God has sent allies. This is why God has sent allies, because you are not supposed to be praying by yourself and covering only yourself right now. This is why God has sent people for us to have, though, certain people. We got different levels of what we can trust people with, or what God has allowed us to say. But this is why he has given us people, because you're not supposed to be doing it alone. This is not a space to be alone in. It is you that has to walk it out. But just because they're not in your position don't mean they're not in the car with you, riding along, covering you, looking where they can look. God has sent people, and you got to let the ones that God has trusted with you, you got to trust them, and you got to trust them according to what God gives you to. You don't have to say everything to everybody. Like I said, discernment and prayer. But if there's somebody that keep reaching out to you and like, are you okay? Well, maybe that's what God's trying to let you know. But even then, he will close your mouth and be like, no, I don't need to say that. Or he'd be like, go ahead and tell him. Something would be pulling you or pushing you to say something. I've had to say things that I've been going through without saying everything I'm going through. God will give you what to say so people can pray the right prayer without even you telling all your business. Like, trust God. He got you. It's easy to say. It's not easy to do, but it's possible because God is with you. And this is the thing, as you go forward in this, you will begin to, they say, get your swimming legs. You'll begin to, that's what exercise does. When you exercise and practice this, you begin to build strength in it. And then after a while, that's just how you move. That's just how you fly. That's just how you run. That's just how you swim. This is how it is. And you'll be like, wait a minute, I remember this used to be an issue for me. I move by the same things. But you can't get better at something or stronger if you're not practicing it. Practice. This is just so on the nose, like for me, because this is literally what I have to keep doing. I was just talking to somebody the other day. I'm just like, I don't even want to do nothing. I literally said, I don't want to do nothing. I don't want to do nothing. I don't want to do A, B, C, D, or E, F, G anymore. I just want to ball up in a corner and be to myself. Because this is just so different. This place is just, anybody in the transition of whatever they're going through, your transition may be for a different purpose, but believe me, I know you are dealing with what is this? I mean, I'm glad I'm not where I used to be, but at the same time, what is this? What is this? I hope I encourage somebody today. I'm gonna go ahead and get off of here. But I just want to say thank you for your time. Thank you for whenever you see this. I know it's not easy. Just know over here you're supported and loved in your transition. Just keep transition into your purpose. Keep going. Know that you're supported. If there's anything you want to leave in the comments, like, hey, this, if it helped or anything like that, or I know sometimes we need prayer, things like that. I don't know how you message people privately, but if it's a general place, because you don't want to put all your business online either. You know what I'm saying? Please don't do that. Open up too many opinions. Okay. But I'm just praying for everybody right now, God, that is dealing with fighting, with staying open after the attacks, after the evidence, even the evidence that says that you're with us, yet it's not the evidence that we thought it would be, because it's coming from a painful space. It's the evidence that, of course, this is going to happen because you are called, because you are chosen. It's the evidence of the enemy attacking you. That's how you know you're in the space you're supposed to be in, because the way you're being attacked. But it's like, gee, where's going to have positive evidence, please? God, I just pray for everybody that's dealing with the negative evidence that they are in the right place, that makes them want to close the door, that makes them want to quit, that makes them feel overwhelmed or stressed, or they have a cloudy mind, or they can't think straight, or whatever. Help them to just continue to remember to just give things to you. Help them to keep doing that. Help them to keep doing that. In the name of Jesus, help them to keep giving those things to you. Help us all. Help me. Help everyone listening. And I pray that everybody know you. And if you're not saved, I pray if you want to be saved, all you have to do is admit that Jesus Christ is Lord, is the Son of God. If you say, you repeat after me, Lord, Lord, I ask for forgiveness. God in heaven, thank you for this day, and I ask for forgiveness for all of my sins. And I confess with my mouth that Jesus is your Son, and he died on the cross for my sins. And I believe that, and I want you to come into my heart so that I can live for you in the way you asked me to, and that you can live in me. Cover me, Lord, and take me to the right church home. Give me the right Bible and understanding. And in Jesus' name, amen. That's it. You're there. You're done. You're saved. Your soul is saved. Okay. So it's, if you wanted it, it's there. So yeah, that's I think that's it. I hope this made sense to whoever is gonna listen. And I hope you all stay encouraged. Just know that I'm really in there with you. And this literally is my life right now. I'm not kidding. So I literally was telling one of my friends the other day how and I almost didn't say nothing again. But God said, you better say something, because what I've been telling you. And I was like, you're right. I almost didn't say anything, but this is the one God told me to talk to. And when I did, it is not that I didn't feel bad, but I was able to keep going. And so this was not easy to talk about. Believe me, I part of me did not want to talk about this at all. I did not want to talk about it. Didn't know I was going to talk about this actually today, but when I started, I was like, I don't want to go here. I do not want to go here. I don't want to. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. You're not alone. Just believe me. Thank you for listening. But our crowns may be little, may be hanging off. They may be in our hand right now. But I'll keep holding on to it. It's yours. Okay. And I'm sorry for all the things that are difficult for you right now. And I'm sorry that is the reality, whatever that reality is, that painful reality. But be proud of yourself. I'm proud of you for continuing to try. I'm proud of you for listening to this, and I in hopes that maybe it adds to you, if that's the reason why you're listening, because that's still effort. Don't mistake it as something mediocre or small when you are still trying to put yourself around positive things and the things that add to you. That means something. It is not a small thing. So be proud of that and keep going. Okay, you may not look like you're doing good, but the fact that you're even trying, is enough for God to do something. Okay, just keep trying, and He'll keep showing up. Just keep trying, and you should be proud that you're trying. It's actually it's enough. The little things that you're doing just to keep yourself going in the name of the Lord, it's more than enough. Really, you don't have to do everything. Just keep doing whatever that one thing He told you to do. He got everything else. Okay. Okay. Much love. God's love. And remember, if your crown is cracked, if it fell, if a little mud on it, wipe it off, because it still shine and it's still yours. I'll see you guys next time at the throne. Bye. Oh, and hey, Carlos. Okay, bye. No weapon